Hello, my dear students. We are studying labor law second paper, and this is Dr. A.K. Tyagi. And in today's deliberation under the Factories Act 1948, we'll talk about the general duties of the occupier given under Section 7A of the Factories Act. This is video lecture number 27, and the Factories Act 1948 is given under Unit 3rd in your syllabus. And when we talk about the general duties of the occupier, under subsection 1, every occupier shall ensure, so far as is reasonably practicable, the health, the welfare, or the safety of all workers while they are at workplace or while they are at work in the factory. So every occupier shall ensure that all his or her, workers are in, good health, or whatever is reasonably practicable for their health, safety, and welfare. Subsection 2 of this section 7A, without prejudice to the generality of the provisions of subsection 1, the matters to which such duty extends, shall include, and this is given in different clauses, it shall include, clause A, the provisions and maintenance of plant and system of work in the factory. And clause B states that the arrangements in the factory for ensuring safety and absence of risk to health in connection with the use, handling, storage, and the transport of articles or any substances. And clause C talks about the provisions of such information, instructions, supervision, and training as are necessary to ensure this health and safety of all workers at workplace or at work. And clause D of this section 7A subsection 2, clause D provides for the maintenance of all places of work in a factory in a condition that is safe without any risk to the health, and the provisions and maintenance of such means of access to and egress from such places as are safe and without such risks. This is clause D of this section 7A subsection 2. And then clause E refers to the provisions, maintenance, and monitoring of such working environment in the factory for the workers that is safe without risk to health and adequate as regards facilities and arrangements for their welfare at work. So these all are the important clauses given in the section 7 and subsection 2. And in subsection 3 of this section 7A, we find that except in such cases what we have referred so far, except in such cases as may be prescribed, every occupier shall prepare and as often as may be appropriate revise and written statement of his general policy with respect to health. So under subsection 7B, also there are provisions related to the general duties of manufacturer as regards articles and substances for use in factories. And subsection 1 of this subsection 1 of section 7B, that every person who design, manufacture, imports, and supplies any article for use in any factory shall ensure, this is given in clause A, shall ensure so far as is reasonably practical that the article is so designed and constructed as to be safe and without risk to health of the workers. Clause B states that these means whatever designs or the manufactures, imports or supplies any article for use in the factory shall carry out or arrange for the carrying out of test and examination as may be considered necessary for the effective implementation of the provisions of we have referred or we have discussed in clause A, and takes clause C states that takes such a step as may be necessary to ensure that adequate information will be available in connection with the use of article in the factory, about the use of which is designed and tested, and about any conditions necessary to ensure that the article when put to such use will be very much safe and without risk to the health of the workers. So these are the provisions given under subsection 1 of section 7b, and subsection 2 of this section 7b provides that every person who undertakes to design or manufacture any article or use in factory may carry out or in the carrying out of necessary research with a view to discovery and, so far as it reasonable practical, the elimination and minimization of any risk to health and or safety. So these are the important provisions given under this subsection, section 7b in different subsections. Now, my dear students, here we talk about the inspecting staff, which is given in the chapter 2nd of the Factories Act 1948. And when we talk about the inspecting staff under section 8, and then under section 8 subsection 1, this subsection lays down that the state government may by notification in the official gazette appoint inspectors for the purpose of this act, and only such persons who possesses the prescribed qualification may be appointed as inspectors under the act. And the state government may assign to the inspector such local limits as it thinks fit. Means we are talking about the jurisdiction here, right? And subsection 2 of this section 8 provides that the state government may by notification in the official gazette appoint any persons as chief inspector. The chief inspector, in addition to his power, chief inspector under this act shall exercise the power of inspector throughout the state. So under this subsection 2, state government is empowered to appoint the chief inspectors also. And under section 2 the state government may by notification in the official gazette appoint as many additional chief inspector or the joint chief inspectors or the deputy chief inspectors also. And under section under section 2.8 was, and under section 2 subsection earlier was the under subsection 2a, and now the under subsection 2b. Every additional chief inspector, joint chief inspector, deputy chief inspector, or every other officer appointed under subsection 2a shall, in addition to the powers of chief inspector specified in the notification by which he is appointed, exercise the power of an inspector throughout the state. And this is all about the subsection 2 of this section 8, and subsection 3 of this section 8 also lays down that any person having any direct interest in a factory or any process or business carried on therein or in any patent or machinery connected therewith cannot be appointed as the inspector of the chief inspector or the public officer under subsection 1, subsection 2, or subsection 2a or subsection 5. And under subsection 4 of this section 8, this subsection says that every district magistrate shall be an inspector for his district. So, district magistrate may exercise all the powers of the these factory inspectors also, right? So, under this subsection 4, every magistrate shall be an inspector for this districts, and subsection 5 of this section 8 provides that the state government may also by gazette notification appoint public officers for all or any of the purposes of this act, and these public officers shall be additional inspectors within such local limits as may be assigned to them. So these are the important provisions given under the section 8 and different subsections. And subsection 6 also subsection 6 of section 8 lays down that in any area where there are more than one inspector, then a state government by office shall notification gazette declare the powers which such inspector shall respectively exercise, and the inspectors to whom the prescribed notices are to be sent. Right, as we can see this on slide also. And this is this was the subsection 6, and now we talk about the subsection 7 of section 8, which declares that the every chief inspector, additional chief inspector, deputy chief inspector, or joint chief inspector, and every other officer appointed under this section shall be deemed to be a public servant within the meaning of the Indian Penal Code, right? And shall be officially subordinated to such authority as the state government may specify in this behalf. So this is the subsection 7 of section 8. So these are the provisions and under section 8. Now we talk about section 9, where we'll discuss the powers of inspectors, and subject to any rules made in this behalf, an inspector may, within the limits for which he is appointed, may exercise these powers we are going to discuss. Clause A, he may enter any place, any premises which is used or which he has a reason to believe is used as a factory. So here every inspector can enter, and he may be accompanied by such assistants or who are in service of the government or any local or other public authority, or with expert as he thinks fit. So inspector may exercise this power to enter in the premises for which he has a reason to believe that it is a factory, and he may be accompanied by such assistants or who are in the service of the government or local or any public authority as he thinks fit. And clause B of this section states that make examination of the premises, plant, articles, machineries, or substances available in the factory. And clause C talks about that he may inquire, the inspector may inquire into any accident, dangerous occurrence, whether resulting in bodily injury or disability or not, and take on the spot or otherwise, he may take the statements of any persons and which he may consider necessary for such inquiry. So that means inspector is having that power also, so inspector can exercise this power also. And under clause D, they require the production of any prescribed register or any other document relating to the factory. And inspector is also having a power to seize or take copies of registered records, documents, or their portions as he may consider necessary in respect of any offense under this act, in which he has a reason to believe that it has been committed. So he is having that authority to seize or take copies of the register record and other documents or their portion maybe. And inspectors may direct to the occupier also that any premises or any part thereof or anything lying therein shall be left undisturbed. Means the inspector may direct to the occupier to do so, that don't touch, don't disturb anything, right? Whether generally or in particular aspects, for so long as it is necessary for the purpose of an examination under clause B, as we have referred to clause B, that make examination of plant, machinery, article, and premises. So if the inspector thinks that it is necessary for the purpose of examining the premises, plant, or machinery, or the article, he may pass such an order to the occupier that any premises or any part thereof or anything lying therein shall be left undisturbed. Then when we talk about clause G of this section 9, then it refers and it states that the inspector may take measurements and photographs and make such recording as he considers necessary for the purpose of the examination under clause B. So while he is examining the premises, the plant, machinery, article, or substances, then during this process he can take the photographs, whatever he considers necessary under clause B, and for the purpose of clause B, and taking with him any necessary instrument or equipment. He is also authorized to do so. And under clause H, we can see that in case of any substance or any article which is found in the premises, and this means the inspector is of the opinion or it appears to him as having caused or is likely to cause danger to the health or the safety of the workers, this article or this substance, then he may direct to dismantle or subject it to any process or test. Means and the inspector may take the possession of any such substance or such articles or part thereof and detain it for so long as it necessary for such examination. So this is again means in the ambit of the inspector, and inspector can exercise this power also. And exercise such other powers as may be prescribed. This is given under clause I of section 9. And there is an important case also, my dear students. You can refer to the crux of this case, DC and G Mills Company versus Chief Commissioner Delhi. And in this case, it was held that the inspectors appointed under the factory rules do not simply carry out the duties laid on them under the Act. And while these inspectors are discharging their duties and obligations as inspectors, these inspectors are, expected to give proper advice and guidance so that there may be due compliance with the provisions of the Act. And on certain occasions, factory owners are bound to receive a good deal of benefit by being saved from the consequences of working of dangerous machines or employments of such processes as involved danger to the human life by being we can say warned at the proper time as to the defective nature of the machinery or of the taking necessary precautions right under the Act. And means it involves a good advice for the safety purpose, right? So these are the provisions given under section 9 for regarding the powers of the inspectors. Section 10 of this Act refers to the certifying surgeons also, and this section lays down that the state government may appoint qualified medical practitioners to be the certifying surgeons. Of course, for the purpose of this Act, and the certifying surgeon shall be appointed within such local limits for such factories or class or description of factories as may be assigned to them by the state government, right? And subsection 2 of this section 10 also lays down and authorize any qualified medical practitioner to exercise any of his powers under this Act for such period as the certifying surgeon may specify and subject to such condition of the state government may think fit to impose. And subsection 3 lays down that any person who is the occupier of the factory or is directly or indirectly interested in any process or business carried out therein or in any plant or machinery connected with or otherwise in the means the factory where he is appointed shall not be cannot be appointed, he shall not be appointed to be or authorized to exercise the powers of certifying surgeon over there. So if the person who is going to be appointed there as certifying surgeon is having these sort of connections, then won't be appointed. And any such person shall not be continued to exercise his powers after occurrence of any such disqualification as is stated. And subsection 4 enacts that the certifying surgeon shall carry out such duty as may be prescribed in connection with the examination of the certification of young persons under this Act, or the examination of the persons engaged in the factories in such dangerous occupations or processes as may be prescribed, or the exercising of such medical supervision as may be prescribed for any factory or class or description of factories. And when we in this section, when we refer to the qualified medical practitioner, which means that person holding a qualification granted by an authority specified in the schedule to the Indian Medical Degrees Act 1916. This is an explanation, right? So this is all about the crux of certifying surgeons given under section 10 of the Factories Act 1948. So this is all about, my dear students, about the inspectors or the inspecting staff, or the powers of the inspector, certifying surgeons, and the inspecting staff, as I told you, and the general duties of the occupier. So this is all for today's deliberation. Thank you so much. I believe this deliberation will help you, will assist you while you would be referring the Bare Act. Thank you so much. Take care.